I remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, her sweet, soft memories, a city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. Yes, I remember Tampa, she remembers me.
Hello and welcome to the Tampa Natives Show. Stay tuned now for the most entertaining webcast from the studios at Tampa Digital in Ybor City, Florida. Join your hosts Mario Nunez, Steve Canella, and the 15-Minute Girl as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue. Get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, Mario Nunez and Steve Canella.
She remembers me.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Tampa Native Show in its brand new home, the studios of Tampa Digital. My name is Mario Nunez, and I'm alongside my broadcast partner,
Steve Canella.
And we're back coming at you live. The 15-Minute Girl is just off camera. She'll say hello. Hello, say hello, darling.
Hello, everyone.
For those of you that are just tuning in, there she is. Hello, sweetheart. For those of you that are just tuning in, welcome back. It's been a long, long time away, and we're so glad to be back in front of you to bring you some more wonderful, wonderful stories from growing up in Tampa. Of course, this is the Tampa Native Show. Stevie, I got to ask you, how does it feel?
Maury, it's been 4 long months.
Too long.
And we're back, not only back, but we're online too. How about that?
We are online streaming live. So those of you that are online at home watching, congratulations, you found us. And secondarily, we're going to give you a phone number here in just a couple of minutes.
Right.
We want you to jot down, because when we go to our phone lines in just a little bit, we want you to be able to call in so you can tell us your stories. Because sharing your memories
has never been
this much fun.
Maury, quick thing too. Let's
Yes.
thank our fans for waiting the 4 long months that we've been waiting.
Yes.
And also all those new viewers tonight that are watching. I'm sure there's quite a few. Welcome to the Tampa Native Show.
Welcome to the Tampa Native Show. For those of you that may not be familiar with us, let's talk a little bit about Steve. Real quick retrospective, real quick history on how this whole thing got started. Well, as many of you know, and some of you may not know, the Tampa Natives group started as a Facebook group about 1.5 years ago.
Right.
Steve Canella, my new BFF as it's known, started this group just to find out how many of us indigenous descendants of those original settlers that came here to Tampa in the late 1800s, settled in Ybor City, those descendants of Sicilian families, of Spanish descent, and of Cuban descent. How many of us were still around? Well, Steve, what happened?
Well, Maury, it's amazing what happened really. The Facebook group started with about 17 members for an entire month, and basically uploaded a few pictures. I put a couple posts saying, do you remember Loch Raven Golf Course? Do you remember Shakey's Pizza,
Sure.
Victoria Station, Lorenzo's, Lorello's Restaurant? And got a few comments, got a few posts, a few more pictures, but the group stayed static for like 17 members for about a whole month.
Well,
and then one day, at the end of the month, I checked it again, hit refresh. It jumped from 17 to 100 members. And then from there, it just kept going and going, turned into a 6,000 member group.
At that point, I hadn't met Steve yet. We had a social event up at Bar Louie's,
Bar
International
Louie's,
Mall,
right.
where I met Steve. Well, I told Steve, I said, hey man, you started something that's pretty neat. I found your page the other day, and I tell you what, hey, you mind if I come on board and see if I might be able to help you push this thing out there, and let's see if we can really generate some energy behind this thing. Steve graciously said, come on, Mario, I can use the help. Well, before you know it, we realized that we had, the catchphrase that everybody gravitated towards was, do you remember?
Right.
Once we came out with that, the stories that started to pour in were amazing. Our numbers grew exponentially, and before you know it, we had up to 6,000 members. So about 1.5 years ago, we decided, it was high time that we met. So we decided, what did we do? We had a New Year's Eve party.
That was fantastic too. We had the best time, didn't we?
How many people showed up?
We had 125 people.
And it was a black tie event. It was pretty cool.
5,000 square feet.
At the hotel, at the Marriott right there on West Shore in Cypress. So it was right in the old neighborhood. We had a ball. Well, after that very successful event, then all of a sudden people started coming at us left and right. When's our next event? When's our next event? We took it to the Tampa Bay Rays game out there at the Trop. We had 2 more successful events there, and then I came to Steve with the big idea. I said, hey, Stevie.
It was a big idea.
Yeah, it was a big idea. I said, hey, Stevie, you ever been on TV before, man? Stevie looked at me like I was crazy.
Like an alien.
I said, listen, I have some experience working in that arena, and I tell you what, this show is primed and ready to go prime time. So Steve graciously acknowledged. He said, well, okay, let's see what we can do. We found a sponsor. Thank you, Mr. Richard Gunsmart, for stepping up there and taking care of our sponsorship fees for that first season. And the Tampa Native Show was born. Boy, from real humble beginnings, and look at us now.
And you know, Mario, it turned into, went from a digital format to a live, interactive events, and then the New Year's Eve party. And now it's kind of turned into like a little bit of a preservation effort, you might say.
It's becoming a preservation effort, and the reality is we accept that.
Right.
You know, if that's where this needs to go, because Tampa is such a special place, and for those of us that have grown up here, know that organically from our hearts, then we accept that role. Listen, we've got some acknowledgments we got to shout out here too. First and foremost, thank you to Tampa Digital for stepping up and seeing, I think, what everybody else saw in our show, which is a wonderful project for bringing people together and preserving our history. Thank you, Tampa Digital and the family here. We've got watch parties that are out there currently. There's one being hosted by Mr. Paul Guzzo at the Buzz on Harbor Island. To those of you at the watch party there, we see you out there, and thanks for being there. Also at the Fox Lounge, Angie Fox, she's got a watch party out there put together, celebrating Mr. Art Steele and everything that's wonderful about Mr. Art Steele, who's going to be with us in just a little bit.
You know, I think these watch parties are a new phenomenon as well. I mean,
we should encourage
they're going to grow.
We should encourage that each and every week. If you've got the opportunity to put together a little watch party, bring people together.
Exactly.
As we celebrate Tampa Natives and the Tampa Natives Show, so should you.
Also,
how about Mr. Ricky Parnell?
Well, that was incredible.
Yep.
He is we call him our Deep South correspondent. He lives in Curitiba, Brazil. He's been a fan since last year, still is a loyal fan. As it turns out, he happened to travel to Tampa this weekend.
All the way from Brazil.
All the way from Brazil. We met him at Panera's, and he gave us a lot of, candy, shirts.
He came bearing gifts, let's put it that way.
There you go.
And we were very happy to see Ricky watches us, even though there's a 3-hour time difference, and he's south of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Ricky, thank you for being there and for sharing the love. Mr. PJ Testa Accounting. PJ, we see you out there. Thank you for all of your love and support. Also, Mr. Frank Cueto, the honorary mayor of West Tampa, because when you're in jail,
call 221-BAIL.
That's Frank Cueto. Frank, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Happy birthday wishes also. We have to acknowledge a great Tampa native and a Plant High School graduate, class of 1971, another show sponsor as well, Dr. Tom Aguero. South Tampa Chiropractic Clinic. Thank you, Dr. Tom, for always being there.
Happy birthday, Dr. Tom.
We love you, Dr. Tom. Thanks for keeping us healthy and happy.
Happy birthday.
And for being there for us. You know, the Tampa Native Show story is one that continues to grow. We were honored just last week with the Best of the Bay. Let me go ahead and show this real quick. This is the Best of the Bay Creative Loafing. And what did we win? Tell them what they won, Johnny. What did we win, Stevie?
We won a loafing.
Well, what's a loafie, Steve?
Well, it's not a shoe.
No, it's not.
And it's not bread.
Yeah. Here it is. I'll show you that. We'll pick it up on camera 1 right there. You get a good shot of that. That's for the best show on public access. So there you go. Starting out our new season at Tampa Digital, we won a loafing, and oh, by the way, something that's very near.
That's not all.
Yeah, that's not all. It gets better all the time. I know we're almost about 3/4 of the way through this first segment, but listen, before we get out of here, let me just mention real quick, hitting the newsstands next week. For those of you that have been talking to us online, and you know, there's a Cigar City magazine that you're going to want to get a hold of. It may just turn out to be a collector's item. It may just sell out. Actually, it won't sell out, because the reality is its publisher is going to give this magazine away. Without further ado, Stevie, hold that magazine up.
I've been waiting for this for months.
For a long, long
Forever.
time. Go ahead and show it right there.
There we go.
Yep, into camera 1. And if you'll notice, those two fellas on the cover there.
They look familiar?
Yeah, they look. There you go, Stevie. Hold it right there.
There we go.
That's Dr. Paul Bearer and One Shock Armstrong, Steve Cannella, and yours truly. And we've got our story, the Tampa Native story is in there. Again, a wonderful article written by Mr. Paul Guzzo.
Beautifully written.
And if you'd like to know more about how the genesis of our show, and how it evolved, and we gave you the Cliff's Notes earlier, pick up that magazine. It'll be available on the streets next Monday, Tuesday, at all of your local eateries in West Tampa, say Amarili's Sandwiches and more, West Tampa Sandwich Shop.
It'll be everywhere.
El Gallo de Oro. But if you can't wait, and you've got to pick up a copy before next Monday, you can pick one up this Friday from 11 to 1 o'clock. Make note, 11 to 1 o'clock at Westside Barbershop. There'll be a limited supply. So while supplies last, that's at the Westside Barbershop. Darling, did you have something over there?
I just wanted to let everybody know that they can tune in and chat on the Facebook stream. That's ready and going, so let's have some chat.
There you
talk.
go. So like
There
us
you
on
go.
Facebook, and you can communicate with us on Facebook in real time. You can send us messages if you can't get on. When we open up the lines in just a couple of minutes,
Emails.
we'll ask for your phone calls. If you can't get through, you know how this works. Don't be dismayed. Send us an email, and we'll read that to you over the air as well if you have questions and comments. It's been a glorious time waiting to get back on the air with you.
We've been dying to get back on.
And here it is in all of its wonderful color and glamour. Steve, what do you think about our set? Have a look around.
This is a fantastic set.
Yep.
I got to give everyone credit here at Tampa Digital,
Yes.
doing a wonderful, superb job. It's incredible. And
Yep.
Mark, let's do a little bit of some show and tell from last season.
Show
How
and
about
tell.
that?
Show
There
and
you go.
tell.
Okay.
Harkening back to those days of our elementary school years, let's do a little show and tell. Stevie, call for a picture.
Let's call for a picture. Let's, Chuck, if you will, bring up picture number 1.
Picture number 1. Now,
This is a great picture.
talk a little bit about that real quick.
Well, this is 15-Minute Girl, Mario Nunez, and none other than Lou Piniella. We did a show last season. It was baseball, Little League Baseball in Tampa as the topic, and Lou Piniella was gracious enough to come on the air. And Mario, we had some really exciting moments during that show.
Yeah, that
didn't
was
we?
a high water mark for the show, for
really
sure.
was.
We didn't know that we would be able to get Lou in. He had just come back from Chicago. His mom had been ill recently, and he came back to Tampa and obliged us to do our show. I tell you, 10 minutes into the show, it became a Lou Piniella, This Is Your Life kind of event. And Lou, I think at the end of the evening, was so relieved and so touched. He was proud to be home, and we were proud to have given him that wonderful moment.
Absolutely.
Picture number 2, if you want to throw that picture up there real quick, we'll stay in the picture mode. Picture number 2, we also had the occasion to have 2 professional highlight players on with us in last season. One, Rufino, there you see, the 15-minute girl in the middle, and all the way on the right-hand side of that photograph is none other than Corky. And you can find them on any given day if you're interested in talking to them down at Panorama Lanes, because Rufino and Corky are co-owners of Panorama Lanes. And for those of you that have grown up in Tampa, you know where that's located.
Well, we had an event there too, didn't we?
We sure did. Because we fancy ourselves some part-time bowlers here at Tampa Natives Show. And
Part-time is the word.
Yeah, step over there and go see and say hello to Rufino and to Corky.
And Chuck, if you could bring up number 3, that'd be great too.
Picture-
This is our wrestling show right here.
We did a show on wrestling, and we're going to have to revisit this topic because we left so much there.
So much on the table.
So many people were just clamoring to get to hear more from this gentleman here. This is Mike Graham, the son of legendary wrestler Eddie Graham, and he too was gracious enough to come on the show, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful event. So you see what we do here at the Tampa Native Show. Lou Piniella, Rufino, we had wrestling great Mike Graham on, and of course, many other Tampa notables. It's been an excellent, excellent run thus far, and with Tampa Digital firmly behind us now, the sky's the limit, to be quite honest with you.
Endless possibilities,
We
really.
think that this is just going to take off and go places like nobody's business. Darling, do you have any notice over there? Anything coming in?
Nothing yet.
Nothing
but
yet?
I would
Well-
like to add that you both look very handsome.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's a good day. Let's just put it that way. I busted out the new razor this afternoon.
It's a good photo day,
I do need a haircut, but I'm growing my hair out for Halloween. And I just
Okay,
wanted to let you know.
that's
just
another
in case
surprise.
anybody just in case anybody notices that I need a little off the top.
And Mark, that's a good point though, because we, stay with us because we have some really exciting shows.
Yeah.
Not only tonight, but every week, every Wednesday 9 o'clock. So 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, 8 to
We're
9.
We're gonna have a huge lineup.
8 to 9-ish. 8 to 9-ish.
That's a good point too.
For those of you that have been with us since the beginning, you know that in the previous life, in the previous incarnation of our show, we had strict rules. And we had 59 minutes and we had to be out of the studio. But here at Tampa Digital, in control of the horizontal and the vertical.
A little
the
more
horizontal
a little more
and the
flexibility.
vertical. Yeah, we not to be confused with the outer limits. We have complete control. So if we need to stay on with you an extra 10,
Right,
15,
right.
20 minutes, we've been given permission by the boss to do just that. We do have a break
Yes,
coming
we do.
up. So if you'll stay hard by your computers right there, your laptops, we'll be right back after
Right.
this break. So glad to be back with you, Tampa. Stay tuned.
Stay logged in.
Hi, Tampa Native Show fans. This is Mario Nunez, and I'm sitting alongside Jimmy Calomares. Lorman Furniture, been here since 1931. That's 80 years if you're keeping track. Talk about Tampa Natives. Jimmy, thank you so much for being a part of the Tampa Native Show sponsor family.
Thank you so much. We're excited about being part of this.
If you haven't been down here before, it's on 7th Avenue. Get over here quick. Meet Jimmy. On behalf of the Tampa Native Show, this is Mario Nunez saying salud and happy days. We'll see you, Tampa.
Hi, we're the Tampa Natives.
Welcome to our show.
I remember Tampa, the way she used to be.
Hi, my name is Steve Cannella. What would you think if I told you there was a live interactive webcast all about growing up in Tampa?
Hi, they call me the 15-minute girl. What if I told you there's a show where you can hear all of those wonderful stories of our youth?
My name is Mario Nunez. How would you feel if I told you there was a place you could go each week to feel those memories come alive? A place where you'd feel as if you'd been dipped in magic waters.
A show where you can see all those iconic images of Tampa and be transported back to her glorious youth. A veritable trip down memory lane.
Those times spent at Britton Plaza, the pizza parlor after high school football games, the Colonnade, or how about going downtown to the Tampa, the Palace, and the Florida theaters?
A show where photographs and videos of places like Lowry Park, Al Lopez Field, the Florida State Fair when it was on North Boulevard, and Tampa Highlight come alive each week.
A place where you can call in and share your memories or listen to our guests tell their stories of growing up in Tampa.
The memories would be so thick you'd have to brush them away from your face. Well, this place does exist, but not just in your imagination, in the palm of your hand, or on a laptop, or a desktop, or your very own personal viewing device.
You mean like this?
No, like this.
And like this. And it's called the Tampa Natives Show. Now, doesn't that sound cool?
We'd like to welcome those thousands of happy viewers and fans to our brand new online home at TampaNativeShow.com. Remember, TampaNativeShow.com. Why? Because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. So until we see you then, salute and happy days.
That's a wrap.
Yes, I remember Tampa. She remembers me.
Now, as you may have noticed, we kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit earlier by telling you that we were going to have a special guest. And
right.
For those of you that have been following our antics on Facebook, and I say antics because we have been acting a fool this week, knowing that we were going to be here this Wednesday evening.
So true.
Especially with our VIP guest of honor. We have a little short video that we're going to present to you now to let Mr. Art Steele speak for himself. Before we go there, Steve, tell our audience a little bit about when you met up with Arch a few weeks ago at Ivaroni's.
Well, we met, it was a book signing event, and Arch, he's a gracious person, just a true gentleman. Had the best time, meeting with him. Got a little insight on his book. We do have a copy of that book tonight.
Yes, we do.
And what are we going to do with that book at the end of the show?
Well, at the end of the show, we're going to give that book away to one lucky viewer.
That's right.
Now, for those of you that see this bag right here on the table, and those of you that have been following the show, you know what that bag represents. There are 75 little wooden balls in there with numbers on them, and that's our Bolita drawing that we're going to do
Totally
a little bit
illegal.
later on. Absolutely illegal. This is only illegal. This is only an exhibition. No wagering, please.
Right.
When you do call in later and you speak with Arch, listen, make sure before you get off the phone, and if you send us an email as well, make sure you include your Bolita drawing number between 1 and 75.
Absolutely.
We're going to get Arch to sign a book for us before he leaves, and we'll give that away to one lucky viewer. And here's the phone number now. It's, Stevie, can you see that number
I sure
there?
can. It's 813. It's 263-8255. That's 263-8255. So please call in.
Or for those of you that have those old
Operators
phones
are ready.
at home with the letters and the numbers, it's 623, is that correct?
Well, it's TALK, right?
Yeah, TALK, 623-TALK.
Right.
Okay, 813. So, hard by your phones. We're going to ask for your calls in just a minute. And before we bring in Mr. Arch Steele, let's go ahead and roll that video and let Arch kind of explain.
Introduce himself in a way.
Introduce himself in a way that only Arch can.
Hello, my name is Art Steele. I am the corporate fall guy, and this is my city, Tampa, Florida. The story that began when I was a television news anchor for 20 years in this Bay Area, the 12th largest market in the nation. One day I decided to do a documentary on skydiving. Wondered why. I was a commercial pilot. But now I have over 6,000 jumps. I really got hooked on the sport. Later, Miller Brewing Company hired me as the corporate fall guy along with all the greats of football, baseball, and basketball, and sent me all over the country. One day, neither one of the parachutes worked. I fell 3,000 feet with no parachute. And I can tell you 3,000 feet of fall does not hurt. It's that darn sudden stop that hurts. But to the minute 1 year later, I was able to go back to the same place and skydive once again. and I disappointed the news media. All of them were there, but the jump was successful. Since then, my story tells the story of all the flying and skydiving adventure all across America, and it has some sad things in it too. I'd like for you to read The Corporate Fall Guy. Thanks.
Gentlemen, it is a pleasure and an honor to introduce to you at this time a true Tampa native, someone that we all, most of us, grew up with watching, an illustrious career, and somebody who, well, I've been telling everybody that we're going to have Mr. Arch Steele on the show this week, and they said, who, you talking about James Bond? What an amazing life you've led, Mr. Steele.
Very similar.
Pretty close.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's a real pleasure to be here. I've always loved Tampa. I loved Ybor City and everything. And it's just a pleasure to be here and talk with you gentlemen today. You used to watch me when you were in diapers, right?
Indeed, indeed.
Not quite diapers.
At least in short pants, for sure.
Right.
You're a household name throughout Tampa.
It's been a wonderful experience here. I really enjoyed reporting the news, and it's been a wonderful, glorious experience. I love the area. I've had many occasions and chances to leave Tampa, but very frankly, why?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Why would I do that? You can't find a good Cuban sandwich up north. You know?
That's true.
Now you're singing our song.
Right.
You're singing our song.
You got to have some café con leche, and medianoche, and all those good things.
Had some last night.
Right, absolutely.
We should say to our audience that we have a debt of gratitude to Mr. Tony Zapponi, who brought Arch to us. Actually, he brought Arch to one of our haunts in West Tampa, Amaryllis Sandwiches and More. And we're sitting there having an event, and lo and behold, Tony walks in, and he's got this dapper gentleman walking in behind him, and we all poked each other and said, "Hey,
who's that?
I'm not sure."
Looks familiar.
He looked very familiar. And lo and behold, it was Arch Steele. So Arch, we immediately gave him one of our Tampa Natives T-shirts and said, "Arch, listen, we've got this little TV show, and is there a possibility that you might be able to come online with us and tell the folks who haven't seen you in a while what you've been up to?"
Well, a little bit of everything. You know, I have a sideline also. I do custom narrations called The Voice of Business, and still love skydiving. And people ask, "You still skydive? Why would you skydive?" I said, "What else could go wrong? I've only fallen 3,000 feet and broken, I counted up 13 major fractures.
Wow.
And now besides skydiving, I do competitive ballroom dancing.
Oh
now,
my!
Which is more dangerous, would you say?
Good. That's a very good question.
You know, I have a terrible joke about that. I tell people, they say, "You still skydive?" I say, "I have no fear at all. I've been married 3 times."
Great answer.
Terrible, but true.
We in doing some research for our show, of course, we all took turns reading Corporate Fall Guy. We all have questions that we have to ask. I'll bring in the 15-minute girl here because she's been chomping at the bit to ask you about one incident that took place at Lowry Park. Darling, do you wish to tell us?
Hello, Arch.
Hello there.
It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you.
And I loved watching you on television.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, what was really interesting to me was the little article about William Holden and how your cameraman ran out of film, and it was William Holden's idea to take a walk around and check out the scenery at Busch Gardens, and a couple of young ladies recognized Arch Steele, handsome Arch Steele, and no word about William Holden. Which
I was so embarrassed.
Oh, wow. I think you should be proud.
I'm walking with the famous William Holden.
Yeah.
And these ladies say, "There's Arch Steele."
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, gee." And Holden laughed about it. He said, "They don't expect me to be here. This is your territory."
Right.
A very gracious guy he was, really. But I was embarrassed.
We, Steve and I have been talking leading up to the show, and I don't know that I mentioned this to you when we talked the last time, Arch, but I've been in the aviation business myself for the last 28 years with American Airlines.
Wonderful.
Most everybody knows that I'm a flight attendant with American Airlines. And one of the things that I just wanted to ask you, and of course all the time that you've logged in the air, whether it was jumping out of perfectly good airplanes or at the controls, the thousands and thousands of hours that you've logged in the air, I've done similar, not quite as much as the Daredevil, but at nighttime, flying over the Atlantic, flying over the Pacific, coming back, sometimes I find myself with my nose pressed to the windows, looking outside. Amazing view of the constellations. But I'm looking beyond that. I've already seen the Aurora Borealis. I know what that looks like. Arch, have you ever seen anything out there that just confounded you as a pilot, as an aviator? Anything out there that just looked not quite cricket?
No, the only thing not quite cricket is I find when the parachutes don't work.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I'll give
really.
you that one.
You know, I
no
constantly
nighttime
say,
jumps, though,
you know,
no?
oh yeah, many nighttime jumps. I've jumped in the University of Miami many times there at night. I've jumped all over the nation. I've jumped 12 times in a Mile High Stadium in Denver, and I've jumped 12 times in the San Diego Stadium, Qualcomm Stadium down there.
Wow.
Interesting.
And it's the most difficult was Denver because you're a mile high.
Yes.
And when I'd skydive in there, you know, I'd kid the people. You know, I have a mic on, and I'm through the public address system, and I'd try to kid the people. I said, "Let's hear a yell from you Bronco fans." And I said, "What a wimpy yell! Come on!" That almost blew me back out of the stadium. But when I'd land there, you know, and then I'd pick up my parachute, a big bundle of nylon, and I'd climb my way up these stairs, incredibly steep. Holding that, high-fiving people all the way up to the top. You're really tired when you get to the top then, but it was really worthwhile. A lot of fun.
Now, Arch, I mean, and you jumped pretty much in almost every stadium in the country, haven't you?
Just about every stadium, right, and just about every one. First one in the old sombrero, as a matter of fact.
Oh, we have
Tampa.
pictures of that.
Wow, we sure do. We have some pictures, as a matter of fact. Let's call up photograph number 7. This should jog.
That's a good one.
This should jog Arch's memory a little bit.
That was a couple years ago.
Yes,
right?
it was. But you know what? We just had to bring that out because it you know.
That's the Arch that I
That's
remember.
the Arch that most of us remember.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Early
You
days.
still look great, Arch.
Tell us a little bit about that photo.
That was, you know, when I came down, actually I was, if I spoke with a normal accent, I'd be talking like this, don't you know?
A little bit of that Hickory, North Carolina.
Right, Hickory, North Carolina. And when I came down and got in television, they wanted, of course, to hide that Southern accent, and I worked to develop that. But I was on the WSOC television, NBC affiliate in Charlotte, North Carolina, when the station manager in Tampa saw me and brought me down here. And started, and then finally Channel 8 hired me as the main anchor. And it was just a great experience. And I worked with the wonderful people like Bill Henry, a tremendous person. And I have a few lines in the, humorous lines, but he's just one of the nicest people I ever met. But some humorous lines he made on the air, which were tremendous, really.
We would like to, I was going to suggest that if we could, at this point, maybe open up the phone lines, because we've got so many people that are out there that have been waiting so long to not only talk to us, because we have a little bit of a fan base out there.
Also, I want to add that we have a watch party going on in Dallas with Manny Mendoza.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's another watch party.
And lots of our friends are online. Davian's online, and Diane Robichaud King is online.
Oh, well.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
Those watch parties are taking off.
My cousin Manny coming through in Dallas. Now, you see?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in Dallas. I noticed a line on one, a lady named Belinda.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Very sweet lady, really.
Arch, you know, I read your book and I found it truly fascinating. In fact, to me, it was like a motivational book.
Thank you. Something that I intended to write for a long while, and over the years, so many people have asked me, you know, about my 3,000-foot fall, and when are you going to write that book? And very frankly, I've been writing and writing and writing, and my very dear friend, I gave credit to it, Richard Bach, who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Right.
We used to skydive together, we'd dogfight together with imaginary machine guns trying to shoot each other down. And I said in the book that I want to thank Richard Bach, my friend in the sky, for giving me the desire to write. Unfortunately, he did not give me that great talent that he has.
Right.
But Richard was a great friend, and I decided to write it. But what really inspired me is last year, in November, I lost a daughter, which no parent should ever go through that. And I know she always wanted me to finish it. I decided this was the time. And the last chapter I dedicated to her, as a matter of fact. I have the children. I have a daughter in Diane here in Tampa. I have a daughter, would you believe, at the University of Florida, starting her junior year now in the nursing school.
Oh, wonderful.
And would you believe she is 20 years old?
Yes, I would believe I've seen the pictures.
I have a daughter in North Carolina, Sherry, a great girl too, and I have a son, Doug, who came down for the birthday also from North Carolina. And a great family, and we all miss Karen, who was married to Marty Ballin, lead singer of the Jefferson Airplane
That's right, I do remember reading that.
Really,
Interesting.
And they're doing a tribute for her, October 23rd.
I'll be darned.
It's going to be at Skipper's.
Oh, yes.
October 23rd.
Okay, we'll be there.
Yeah.
We will be there.
Marty will be playing, Joy Donovan, the Lint Rollers, all of those, and my son's going to perform as well.
Okay, let me just say that
Please, just say something,
Tanya and
darling.
Buddy are watching,
Yes.
and Bruce Krinsman is watching.
Oh, how about Bruce?
Hi,
That's
Bruce.
right. All right.
Hi, Tanya. Hi, Buddy. Lots of people. We're getting all our old friends back.
Well, and we had some trepidation, I must tell you, Arch, because we were off the air for a little bit.
Right.
And we were concerned because we know how difficult it can be to, once you lose that contagion, once you lose that closeness, it's sort of like herding cats. Sheep are easy.
Yeah.
But you try to bring cats back into the fold, and we were nervous.
A little trickier.
But I think it speaks volumes. That's a testimonial to just
Yes.
how strong our fan base
Right.
is. They're finding us, and they're finding us
They're very
online,
loyal.
and they're watching. And we've got the 15-minute girl to thank for keeping track on that. I'm going to go ahead and give the number out again, if I may. And if I give this number out wrong, flash that graphic
We'll
up there,
come over
guys.
and bop you on the head.
Yeah, come over and give me a good shot. Oh, there it is. Now I know why I'm giving it, because I was saying 623. It's 263. And that's, the beauty of live television, Arch, as you know too well. Okay,
Right.
let's give that, Arch, in your best, clear your throat, Arch, in your best DJ voice. Go ahead and try that for us.
Okay. The telephone number is area code 813-263-8255.
That's perfect.
go.
Great.
How about that? That's
That's
great.
Not bad. There may
Clap
be
for
a
that.
future for this gentleman.
That's fantastic.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
In the meantime, Lisa Figueredo
That
is
was Lisa.
asking,
That was Lisa.
That was Lisa.
I recognize
Well,
that voice.
Lisa's asking, Arch, do you remember Jumpin' Jacks? Do you remember Jumpin' Jacks?
Jacks, is that what you're saying, darling?
Jumpin' Jacks. That's what she says.
Okay, Jumpin' Jacks.
The Jumpin' Jacks.
The Jumpin' Jacks. Was it a daytime TV show? Was it a kiddie month? Is she giving us anything more than that?
No, she just said, Arch, do you remember the Jumpin' Jacks?
Well, Lisa's going to come back here in just a minute.
Yeah, I
and she's-
remember Major Jack on Channel 8 for many years. Right?
Arch, a big part of your career also was with Miller Company
Yes,
as a
yes.
spokesman, right?
Yes, I was very fortunate that that's the big bounce when I landed at Cypress Gardens.
We had to talk more about that big bounce too.
Yeah, actually, I was out skydiving one day. You ever have a day when nothing goes right?
Yes.
Yes.
I had one the other day.
Yes,
Yesterday.
I had a lot of that.
Well, so you don't want to be skydiving or disarming a bomb, but that day neither parachute worked. I was at Cypress Gardens doing a performance there for Channel 8.
Right.
And neither parachute worked, and I went 3,000 feet into the ground. I can tell you, first of all, that 3,000 feet of fall does not hurt. It's that sudden stop at the end. Right, that's it. The last half inch really hurts.
Wow.
But amazingly, I survived. I broke my neck 1 millimeter from a hangman's break, 6 ribs. L1 is crushed over L2. I told you I used to be 6'4", that joke. And separated pelvis and internal injuries, but I never lost consciousness. You got to enjoy all of it. And amazingly, I was able to go back to work at Channel 8 3 months after I hit the ground.
90 days after.
90 days.
And 90 days. Yeah, I was hurting, but if people say, hey, how are you? What do they want to hear? Oh, I got this pain? No.
Right.
Outstanding, wonderful, everything. And so that's what I said. And to the minute, 1 year later, I went back to Cypress Gardens and skydived again. All the media was there to watch me bounce. Really.
That's unfortunate.
I know work with NASCAR a lot, and I know people there to see a good wreck.
Right.
And I didn't, and then Miller Brewing Company came after me and offered me a job. John Madden is all-star, and Bob Euchre.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney was a shy, timid person.
Rodney Dangerfield?
Very
Are you
shy.
serious?
Very shy. It's strange, but hey, when the lights go on the camera, hey.
No respect.
Right.
Those were some wonderful heady days.
And they chose me as the only guy, the corporate fall guy. I did all the skydiving for Miller, and the most wonderful job I ever had in my life. They flew me everywhere first class. They had a limo pick me up, take me around.
Oh.
They sent me on over 30 cruises. They paid for everything on the cruise. Take anybody with you.
Are they hiring?
Unfortunately, now they're headquartered in London. Now it's London. Would you believe it's Miller and Coors are fighting? Now it's Miller Coors SAB.
That's right.
And in the
remember
London's
that.
headquarters, And I have nothing but great things to say about them.
What a wonderful
and
career.
And they paid me well, too.
Oh, my gosh.
They also gave me 10 cases of Miller every month.
That's icing on the cake.
I gave away 9 of them. A case of Miller a month was enough.
I think we have our caller back online. Before we go to the caller, I just want to throw this out for your consideration, Arch. Yes. Caller, we know you're there. Stand by. We'll come right back to you. For the longest time, I always thought, you know, if I get a second shot at this, I want to come back as Derek Jeter. May I amend that now? I want to come back as Arch Deal. That's what I want to. I want to have your life, Arch. Caller, if you're there, we're going to try this again. Caller, say hello to Mr. Arch Deal.
Hi, Mr. Arch Deal. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Lisa Figueredo.
I recognize her voice.
Florida.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Good show so far.
Thank you.
Good.
I have a question. Obviously, Arch, you were a hero in my home because my dad was also a skydiver, and he skydived with a group called Jumpin' Jacks, Tampa Skydivers.
Absolutely. Now it comes back to me. You know, I don't have all-timers, just some-timers.
That's great.
His name was Joe Figueredo.
Oh, yes.
And he won first place competition on the Bullseye in DeLand, Florida.
Wonderful.
But he was a big jumper. He also had a problem with a chute not opening up and busted a leg. And my mother said that was it. Either the skydiving goes or the family goes. So I guess obviously he picked the family.
Well, occasionally people would ask me when I'd make a speech, I said, how do your wife feel about your skydiving? I said, none of them liked it. But I can relate to the broken bones, and I got to give credit to your father. He was jumping those chutes that were good for covering a car, and that was it.
Well, I've seen some of the chutes he jumped from, and I'm just amazed that you guys even did what you did with those chutes. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if there's many people out there today that can jump with those type of chutes.
No, I prefer the nice ones that have nice, soft landings. Many times I've been able to land in a stadium, do a 1-foot stand-up, if I know I'm going to be nice and soft. People say, how do you do that? It's technique, that's all.
Sure.
Just technique.
Flaring right there at the right moment at the end.
That's it, really.
Lisa, thank you so much for your call. You're our first caller in our new show, except for Tony, that we couldn't quite hear Tony. But Tony, if you're out there, call us back. Lisa, thank you so much.
Guys, it was my pleasure. Arch, it was great seeing you. You're a great hero.
Thank you so much.
So glad you called in, Lisa.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Let me show this to Arch real quick because there's a point of relevance here. The young lady we were just talking to, Lisa Figueredo, is the publisher of this magazine, Cigar City Magazine. And these two most unlikely characters who are on the cover, that would be Steve as Dr. Paul Bearer. I'm behind the mask.
Okay.
It's going to come out next month. It's going to come out this weekend. It's all about the Tampa Natives show, a little bit on Dr. Paul, and some on Big 13 and Shock Armstrong.
Fantastic.
Isn't that something? So, Lisa, thank you so much for calling.
Thank
that
you,
was
Lisa.
Wonderful.
And we're going to revisit these characters for Halloween again.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely, it'd be fantastic.
Do we have that? I want Arch to talk a little bit about that Dagwood sandwich picture. If we have that, let's call that up. That's picture number 8 on our roster. And Arch, tell us a little bit about this. Snuffy Smith and all.
Oh yeah, Snuffy Smith. Actually, Fred Laswell, and that, of course, is Chick Young there. He lived in Clearwater. And when I had my 10th anniversary at Channel 8, he put together several cartoons for me, including this one of a Dagwood Bumstead typical sandwich, stacked up. Such a sweet guy, And then, of course, Fred Laswell. I say Fred Laswell was Snuffy Smith, really. I remember one time he finally was talked into one of his neighbors in addressing one of the civic clubs in Tampa. I was there at the time. And he got up there and said, I don't normally talk to civic clubs, he said, but my neighbor told me, he said, I need somebody who's good, and I need somebody who can do it for nothing. So here I am, good for nothing.
Terrific.
And did a marvelous job, absolutely.
Arch, we have a video of you skydiving. Can we? Oh. Okay. We
very
do have
good.
Okay.
813-505-0335.
We do have a change in phone number.
And if we can,
it's on the screen already.
It's on the screen
there
already.
It is.
If you'll bear with us for just a moment, we're going to have the voice of reason do this as well, because, you know, we can't get enough of this voice.
That's right.
Go ahead, Arch. Take your time. I know you're probably a little bit nervous, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
And it's 0335.
Right.
Try that.
The telephone number for you is 813-505-0335. Once again, slowly.
You've got a future in this business.
I have a question from a Yvonne Collado-Guerin, and she'd like to
Yvonne
know,
Collado would like to know.
is there anything that Arch has in his bucket list left?
Nice.
That's
Very
a great
good
question.
Well, we're getting
Yvonne.
reconnected with our caller.
Yeah, I actually have a commercial pilot, and I've done so many different things, scuba dive and things like that. One thing that I really wanted to do, I wanted to be an astronaut. And as a pilot, you know, and everything. But unfortunately, I applied for it, and I was at ancient age of 35. We don't take anybody that's 35 or older. And of course, now they take people that's older than me all the time, you know, really. But that's one I wanted to do. And if I had a few $1 million lying around, I'd go to Russia and
blast off.
And
that's right,
that would be interesting. That'd be fun.
Just a few $1 million kind of borrow.
Well, that's it. Listen, we're going to have a fundraising drive to send Arch into space. Call her. We know you're out there. Call her if you're on the air. If you're on the line, excuse me. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, this is Hugh in South Tampa.
Well, hello, Hugh Perret. Here's one of our
loyal fans.
One of our loyal fans.
Welcome
Hi, Hugh.
in.
How you doing? Arch, it's a pleasure to see you again. And I grew up with my family watching you, Milt Spencer, Guy Bagley, and it's just wonderful to see you again.
Well, my old skydivers used to say, it's good to be seen. But thank you very much. That's great.
I had a question. Could you tell us, if there was one, what was your most embarrassing experience on the air?
There you go.
Great question.
Embarrassing experience off the air?
Or on the air?
Or on the air.
On the air.
Well, I think one time I followed a kid show. I always remember this. And the people ahead of me had brought out an anaconda, this huge 30-some feet long anaconda snake. When they got it out, they found out this thing had not been eating in about 3 months or so.
He's due.
And it was determined to pull the two keepers together and have them for lunch.
Oh, my.
And as they're fighting with this snake, and good evening, I'm Arch Steele, and this is the news. And I had to, of course, pay no attention to the fact that this anaconda is getting closer and closer to me. So that was a little consternation. But,
I would say.
Things do happen.
Yeah, especially on live TV.
Tell me about it. Oh, yeah. We've had
Hugh,
our
thank
share.
you so much for being there. You know, we can always count on you giving us those calls early in the season. We know because we get your messages on email and on Facebook. And thanks so much for being there for us, Hugh. We count on you and fans just like you. You inspire us each and every week to keep going.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you back on the air again, and I really look forward to seeing this new season. It's great, and great to see Arch Deal.
Thank you.
And doesn't Arch look great?
Yes, he does.
How do we look? And how do we look? We look okay?
You all look very handsome.
It's the makeup.
See?
Especially the 15-minute girl.
There you go.
There you go.
Hugh. Very PC. Hugh.
Good answer.
Very
Good answer.
PC.
How do you like my headset? Isn't it cool?
Well played, Mr. Perret. All right, wonderful. Listen, we're going to take a little bit of a break here in just a moment. We've come to, I guess, the bottom of the hour. Are we at the bottom of the hour, Stevie? Look at your watch. Look at your watch.
You know it's not working.
Look, is your watch not working?
No. I use my phone.
So that's just a prop, ladies and gentlemen. That watch on his wrist is just a prop. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. We're just getting started with Mr. Arch Steele. Stand by.
Hi, everybody. Mario Nunez here, co-host of the Tampa Natives show. We're sitting here in the showroom of Larman Furniture, established in 1931. This year, about to celebrate its 80th anniversary. And I'd like to introduce to you at this time Jimmy Calomares. Jimmy is the owner of Larman Furniture and member of the family for a long time. And we'd like to say thank you, Jimmy. And how are you today?
Thank you. Fine. Doing wonderful.
Doing good?
Yeah.
Why don't you take a minute and maybe tell some of the folks that haven't heard the story a little bit about Larman Furniture.
Well, Larman was started in 1931 with my wife's grandfather, and he and a partner was called Friday Larman.
Okay.
Initially, and then
Mr. Friday was the other gentleman?
Mr. Friday was the other gentleman,
Okay.
and then in I believe it was 1955, Mr. Friday wanted to get out, and then that's when my father-in-law, Curtis Larman, got in the business and bought his share out, and they had the business until my wife's grandfather wanted to get out.
Sure.
His name
At some point, everybody tries to get out. At some point.
So, and then once he got involved, Curtis Larman got involved. The business started growing, and because they had their hard times, they started during the Depression.
Of course, 31.
So, and then once my father-in-law got involved, he grew it, and then my sister-in-law Cheryl had gotten involved. And then 5 years later is when I was asked to see if I wanted to join the company, and 20 years later, you know.
What a wonderful family legacy. So once again, Jimmy, let me just say on behalf of the Tampa Natives Show and all of our fans, thank you so much to you and to the Larman family for stepping up and being one of our first sponsors here in this this new show with Tampa Digital. Thank you so much.
Mario, thank you. We're excited about it. Whether you're a Tampa business or doing business in Tampa, we just thought it was a natural fit. We're Tampa natives, and we're just excited to be part of this wonderful sponsorship, and we look forward to the relationship.
Thank you again. So for Jimmy Calamares, this is Mario Nunez sitting inside the lovely showroom of Larman Furniture. Been here since 1931, celebrating this year 80 years in business. Talk about Tampa natives. So on behalf, again, of the Tampa Natives Show, this is Mario Nunez saying salute and happy days. Hi, everybody. Mario Nunez here, co-host of the Tampa Natives Show. We're just about ready to start a whole new season of broadcast, Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. We'd like to thank those of you that have already taken the opportunity to be sponsors with us here. And for those of you that are sitting on the sidelines, now's your chance to get involved. The Tampa Natives Show, for Tampa Natives, by Tampa Natives, and all about Tampa Natives. If you grew up in Tampa, this is the show for you. So once again, this is Mario Nunez saying salute and happy days. We'll see you on Wednesdays.
How about that? That Mario Nunez fella, he's everywhere.
He's all over the place.
My goodness. We got to get some more actors to do some more commercials.
How many are there?
I don't know. They keep telling me we're going live in 30 seconds, and there I am again. Listen, we're sitting here talking with Art Steele. It's just been wonderful this evening to be not only back on the air and to feel the love coming at us from the phone calls. We're going to solicit for your phone calls and your emails, 15-Minute Girl, hard by the computer. So
I have a question from Manny Mendoza.
Well, there you go, Manny Mendoza.
Manny would like to know if you have any wacky, interesting stories as a news anchor.
Well, there you go. As if that anaconda story wasn't wacky.
That was about the wacky one I've heard.
Yeah, the anaconda was pretty wacky. And we have some, as a matter of fact, you know, I usually wrote my own news. But then we got into the teleprompter thing. And I think one of the things, it's good that I write my own because you pretty well know what you're going to say.
Right.
And I always had the copy there anyway. But one time I'm doing the news and, of course, looking right under the teleprompter, doing the news, and I noticed the teleprompter operator.
Oh, no, he's dozing off. No Red Bull. No Red.
Fortunately, you know, he looked back down, and the funniest thing I said, you mentioned Tony Zapponi a while ago. He made a comment one time. He said, you never made a mistake on the air. I said, wrong. If you said something that was important, you got to correct it. If you said something and you slide right by it and act like it never happened, okay. But if it's important, you've got to correct it.
Sure.
And television has changed quite a bit since I was on there.
I'll say.
And yeah, absolutely. Difference. Well, of course, we had just a few channels. We started out, we had Channel 8, Channel 13, Channel 10, 28, and changed around. Now you've got so many outlets for the news, of course. And one thing that has concerned me, very honestly, I have my own opinions. Absolutely. I don't like them, but I have some prejudices too, but they have no place on the air.
Right.
Not at all. And so when I'd write a story, I might be writing a story, I don't like this guy, but I'm writing a story about him. I'd hand it to my assignment editor, said, read this, change anything you want. I want to make sure I did this fairly. And that was important. And I think right now, if you want to have commentary, label it as commentary. If you want to have editorial, label it as editorial. If you're going to do news, do straight news.
Right.
And,
keep in their individual boxes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Really.
Where's Walter Cronkite when you need him? Huh?
I know, exactly.
I think we might have that caller back on there. You want to try this
first
one again?
Absolutely.
Let's try it.
All right, let's go to the phones. Mr. Tony Gonzalez, we understand you're there waiting for us. Tony, say hello to Art Steele.
How you doing?
Great, Tony.
Tony, it's your moment. moment to shine. You got a question?
I was going to ask Mr. Deal. Wasn't he a traffic reporter at one time after Al Ford and everything?
There you go.
Yeah, at the same time Al Ford was flying, and I really admired Al. He was the longest sustaining traffic reporter at the time, but I was skydiving for Miller Brewing Company as a light all-star, and I was approached by Q105, which was the biggest station in the nation for the size market. And they said, well, you're a pilot, a skydiver, and all that, and how about flying traffic for us? And I said, well, you know, I'm working with the Miller Brewing Company. I said, well, aren't most of those shows on the weekend? I said, just about all of them on the weekend. He said, well, we'll hire you to fly the airplane, do the traffic reports, and if you have to go away during the week, have another pilot take over your plane. So that continued for 10 years. And while I was skydiving for Miller on the weekends, sometimes I'd fly into Tampa, arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning when the overnight flight from LA or San Francisco, drive across the other side of the airport, get in my airplane, and fly for another 5 hours.
All right. And if that's not James Bond 007 kind of stuff, I don't know what is. Thank you for your call, Tony. Let me go ahead and give that number out one more time because we want to get as many callers in here tonight as possible.
Should we get his number too?
Yes. Tony, are you still there? You might still be there. Are you still there? Well, tonight we're going to have... Yep. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask those of you that are at your computers now that are communicating with the 15-Minute Girl on Facebook to go ahead and send in with your questions, and if you didn't do it earlier, send in with your questions your Bolita drawing number, because as would happen, because we're a little bit out of shape, obviously we've been missing in action for about 4 months, we're forgetting to ask for those Bolita drawing numbers. I'm not going to blame the 15-Minute Girl, although I desperately want to, because it can't be my fault.
We want someone to
It's
blame.
not going to be my fault.
But by all means, when you do call in, before you hang up, remember to leave us with your Bolita drawing number, because Arch is going to give away one of his books a little bit later in the show.
Should we do the 15-minute warning?
Not quite yet, darling.
Okay.
We're rolling with this. This is good. Arch we got Arch. Yeah, Arch is in his seat, and his seatbelt is fastened. He's not going anywhere. Let me give you that number one more time. It's 813-505-0335 for those of you out there that have your cell phones handy and you want to make that phone call. The line is open.
And they can send emails to show@tampanatives.com.
And they're sending in their Bolita numbers, so we're
write those down.
We're doing good.
Write those down, my
So
darling.
we're going to have a drawing tonight.
And when they start sending in their Bolita numbers like that, in record numbers, Arch, what that means is somebody wants your book real bad.
Right.
You know, when I first arrived in Tampa, Bolita was pretty big then.
There you go. There you go. And what we do here is we try to keep a lot of those stories and those traditions alive.
Right.
When we came up with the format for the show, we just thought it was a natural. How'd we do?
Great. I think it's a wonderful idea. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys 6 books anytime you want to.
Oh,
That's great.
That is so nice.
That is fantastic. Thank you.
And whoever gets them, if they find me, I'd be glad to autograph it.
Oh, there you go.
No question.
Well, we'll come up with along with our Tampa Digital family here, we'll come up with a neat way to disperse those. We'll probably have an online drawing or something along those lines. Special mystery guest. We have another caller.
Let's take the call. Sure.
Let's go to the call. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and don't hang up without giving us your Bolita drawing number.
Please.
Okay, 14.
14. Okay, we'll start with the 14.
Okay,
That's good. That way we get that out of the way. Now, who is calling and where are you calling from?
PJ Testa from South
Well,
Carolina.
there's TJ Testa. Hello, Phil Testa. How are you?
Hey, PJ.
Nice to
Mario,
hear you.
How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Testa, PJ Testa, for those of you that have been following our show, he's one of our sponsors. He is probably, arguably, our #1 biggest fan, and we have a lot of big fans out there. And say hello to Mr. Arch Steele. I know you had something that you wanted to ask, Arch.
Right. First of all, I want to say it is good to see you guys back on the air.
It's
And-
good
and
to
it's
be
good-
seen
it's-
on
it's
back
good.
on the air.
Yeah, good to hear from you, too.
To steal a phrasing of Mr. Arch Steele, it's good to be seen back on the air.
Exactly.
Mr. Deal, you at one time lived on Kirby Street over in the Lake Eugene State area.
I think that was 2821 West Kirby Street.
Yeah, I
right.
guess he did.
I did.
Well, I grew up 1 block away from you back in the 60s
Wow.
and 70s on Patterson Street.
Right.
Talk about a
was
connection.
familiar with
Which is right.
Patterson Street.
Yeah, and my mother and father, my mother's still there. She's 91 years old.
Wow.
Probably one of your biggest fans.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the news just is not the same without you on the air.
Well,
There you go.
thank you very much. I
There
appreciate
you go.
that.
And by the way, happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much, and give the very best to your mom. Gee, there's someone older than me out there.
Mr.
All right,
Testa.
good to see you guys.
We feel the love, and we thank you so much for being one of our biggest supporters. In great part, PJ, we continue to do this because you continue to inspire us. Thank you so much for being there for us.
Thanks, PJ.
Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you. We sure will. Thanks, PJ.
All right.
That was great.
Bye-bye now.
Mr. Phil Testa. How about that? We talk about it all the time on the show. They say 6 degrees of separation. We think it's more like 1 degree.
Or
I
less.
mean, in Tampa, those of us that have been here long enough, there's such a good chance that you might know somebody who might know somebody who's probably your cousin or related to you somehow, because there's just so much cohesiveness here.
One of the things I've told many, many people about Tampa, Tampa is a great big city with a little city atmosphere, the friendship and everything,
Right,
and that is so important, really.
We can't afford to lose
No,
that. We can't afford to lose that. If there are any other callers out there that would like to call, lines are open. Lines are open. Call now, 813-505-0335. We've got a video.
Bunch of Bolito numbers.
You've got some Bolito numbers, darling? Good. Hang on to those, because we'll come to you in just a little bit.
This video is exciting, by the way.
We're going to show.
We got to see this.
We're going to this video we've been holding special because this is Arch.
We've been sandbagging this one.
Yep, we have. This is Arch about to take flight. He's about to leap out of an aircraft. So for your viewing pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, and of course Arch is going to relive the jump with us. Let's take a look at Arch as he takes flight.
I love this video.
Leaves out of a perfectly good airplane. Here we go. Arch Steele. Arch, how long ago was that?
That was a few years ago. As a matter of fact, it's funny, but one of the people on that dive, every now and then people say, you fell 3,000 feet and survived and you still jump? Of course. They said, you should see a psychiatrist. I said, he's one of the guys who jumps with me.
Yeah, he's one of my jumping buddies.
And as a matter of fact, it's really honest to goodness psychiatrist. And as a matter of fact, I kidded him. I told him, I kidded about that for many, many years. I finally told him one day about my joke about that. And I said, you're the only skydiver I've seen trying to drag a couch onto the plane.
Incredible.
Well, I was talking
amazing.
to Arch during that that video footage there and telling him that, one of the items on my bucket list is to do something like that, which is to say, take a static line and jump out of an airplane, or free fall would be the ultimate. I've seen people, and I know people, colleagues of mine, that have taken wing off of the side of a cliff in Brazil, and they do the tandem hand gliding thing, and that looks kind of cool. But to be quite honest with you, I want to experience what that free fall is. So Arch has told me that maybe we'll work out a deal for his 81st birthday. Maybe me and Arch will go up and tandem jump. Don't ask me why. I don't know why exactly, except that I've had so many dreams, honest to goodness, when I was a little kid, I can tell you this with certainty. My favorite hero was Superman. And part of the reason why.
He could fly.
He could fly.
Absolutely.
And the closest thing to that has got to be sort of free falling. So, Arch, you and me, bud. You and me.
Absolutely.
Okay, gentlemen,
All right.
I am getting a message that we are entering the 15-minute zone, which means we have 15 minutes left to go, and you better get those Bolita balls ready.
Okay, we will do that 15-minute go. Now, that's how she affectionately got her name, Arch. You understand?
Right.
We brought her on board so that when it got to the point where we were getting 15 minutes out, she'd come in there and let us know and keep us on track. That was so. There she is. She got us again.
She has her own fan page now.
She got us again.
How about that?
We have something that we needed to do during the film footage. So I'm guessing maybe if we have another photograph, I'm going to ask if perhaps our director might be able to put up a photograph for about a minute or so.
I know which one it is.
And let's go with I want to see the Miller Lite All-Star poster.
Right.
Because this particular that's image number 10, picture number 10. There you go.
Oh.
And talk over this one a minute.
Hey, like my hairdo.
Talk over this one a minute. and that's circa 1974, 5, or 6. Let's talk, Art.
Yes, that's a wonderful occasion. As a matter of fact, there were 35 Miller Lite.
Keep talking, Arch. Keep talking, Arch. Keep talking.
There were 35 Miller Lite All-Stars worldwide, and I was the only skydiver, and so they put us together. One time they brought all 35 of us together in Milwaukee in the cold, cold, cold of the winter, and we had a big dinner and everything, and they had commissioned the artist to do all these pictures of all of us. And we walked around the room, and that's a huge picture hanging in my living room, as a matter of fact.
Now, before we come back to the table, let's go one more photograph, because this particular photograph is the one that got me thinking. This is photograph number 9. This was probably before.
We talked about that last night.
Yeah, we talked about this last night. This, what you got to understand here.
Yeah, a couple of years ago too.
Yeah, Arch Steele.
007.
Yeah, Arch Steele is one of the coolest cats around. Okay, and that picture I think embodies that. Arch, you know, reading your book, Corporate Fall Guy. You know, like I said, you've done so many. You've had such an amazing full life.
That's my shaken, not stirred.
Oh, we're so proud to have you on the show, especially this being our first show here at our new home at Tampa Digital.
Right.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do that as well. One more surprise for you. Let's go ahead and ladies and gentlemen, watch this next video. See if perhaps this next video jogs a little bit of your memory. When we saw it in pre-production, we were terribly excited to show it to you and to share it again with Arch. Let's show that video.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bill Wendell. Hi, everybody. There is one frequent medical complaint amongst most people who are over 40. They say that once over 40, it's just a question of patch and mend, patch and mend. Well, we've got a guy coming up here, and you'll never know how, or you never guess how he celebrated his 40th birthday. He's a daredevil.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Arch Steele.
Number 2.
My name is Arch Steele.
Number 3.
My name is Arch Steele.
And here is the sporting story of Arch Steele. He says, I, Arch Steele, am a television newsman with a daredevil hobby. On weekends, I'm a sport parachute jumper. Through my newscasting, I learned of the extraordinary popularity of skydiving, so I decided to do a documentary on the subject. After that, I was hooked. Currently, I hold the highest rating accorded U.S. sport parachutists. This means that I had to jump 2 miles at 120 miles per hour in 1 minute before pulling the ripcord. And I had to do this 200 times. I also had to make night jumps, water jumps, and an international Chinese series. Skydiving is now so much a part of my life that on the occasion of my 40th birthday, I celebrated by jumping 40 separate times. And upon completing my 40th jump, I was christened with a bottle of champagne. Signed, Arch Steele. And Bill Cullen after the buzz.
I'll stick with Kitty's question number 3. What is your idea of terminal velocity in miles per hour?
Roughly, with the arms and legs outstretched in what they call a basic stable spread position, it would be roughly 120 miles per hour.
Number 3, it says you're a newsman. The first term I had to learn in the business was MOS. What does MOS mean?
Well, I would only remember MOS from the time I was in the service, and that was the occupational status in the service.
For number 3, he's got a clear-eyed look, and he could land on target, even at night.
And I like the way he stuck to his guns, and he won my vote that way. He can set my altimeter any day.
What altimeter? It says that the person is a television newsman, and number 3 has those pear-shaped tones, and I think that that's who it is.
All 3 of them, then, are for number 3, and will the real Arch Deal please stand up? The one that looks... No! There you go. Well, now let's find out about the real fellow over here. Arch, you might as well give the call letters to the station where you work, you know.
I'd be very happy to. I'm the anchor man for the 6 and 11 p.m. news on Channel 8 News, WFLA Television, Tampa, St. Petersburg.
Oh, hey, good enough. Thank you, Arch. Say hello to the whole bunch down there for us. And thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for being with us.
Steve, this has been just an absolute gift to be here with you
That's
guys.
a good way to put it, Mario.
It's been a great show. Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Arch.
Been a real joy.
We're on the precipice, Arch, really and truthfully. We're not quite sure exactly where this little Tampa Native show experiment is going, but we know that with you being here on the very first show in our new home, this is the way to christen a new ship.
Well, I was really honored. Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank you.
really a pleasure.
On your 80th birthday, how cool is that?
Absolutely. That's why I saved it for 80.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
Arch, one final thing on your book too. One message that I took from your book after
Right.
reading it was to live life to the fullest.
Absolutely.
And that's the message I got from reading your book. It was incredible.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Darling, any parting words for Arch before we get out of
His
here?
friend Belinda
Yes?
in Texas thinks that Arch should end the show with some dance moves.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Now, we hadn't considered
We never thought of that.
But, well, maybe that could be the second part of this show. Maybe we'll do that in a
We're
little...
going to have him back again.
Yeah, Arch, you know
We
what?
can have my dance instructor. She and her husband were in the top 10 in the world a few years ago. And she can leave me. I would dance with you guys, but you'd leave.
Should we say goodbye to all our watch parties?
That's
out there?
a
And
wonderful...
thank you so much for having watch parties, and we'd like to encourage all of you to have your little group watch parties and watch the Tampa Natives show all together. It's
What a
more
great
fun that way.
concept.
Terrific concept. Adult libations are perfectly allowed. I think they go wonderfully with this show, to be quite honest with you. If we're ready to sign off at the control room, I guess we can do what we typically do this each and every week at the end of our show, Arch, and we would be honored if you would join us tonight. So what we do is we do a salute and happy day.
He'll remember that.
Just follow right along.
Absolutely.
So if I can indulge for just a moment and say, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's a privilege, it's an honor to be in front of you this week from our new home, TampaNativeShow.com. Be sure and drop us a line there. Peruse that website. There are many, many tabs all across the top.
You can join.
You can join. We ask for you to join. If you have suggestions for future shows, we'd love to hear from you. If you are a potential sponsor out there and you want to sponsor our show and help us along so that we can continue to bring this show to you, please
contact
let us hear from you. Again, with pride and joy in my heart, on behalf of the 15-minute girl, my BFF Steve Canella, and of course the great Arch Deal. Salud.
Salud.
And happy days.
Happy days.
We love you, Tampa.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.